In recent podcasts, there has been a trend in showing how players, events, and world powers are all setting up the start of tribulation. They are not alone. The world is being prepared also. In this podcast, I'm going to play for you some clips pointing this out, but this only scratches the surface. There is a lot to show you, so let's jump right in.
At 2:20 p.m. on March 28th, a powerful 8.2 magnitude earthquake struck Myanmar, with tremors also reaching parts of China's Yunnan province over 1,000 kilometers away from the epicenter. By 2:20 p.m., strong seismic waves reached Ruili, Yunnan. In another video, a netizen recounted experiencing a 7.8 magnitude earthquake in Dehong, Yunnan. They lived on the 25th floor of a building. The building was so intense that water from an aquarium spilled onto the floor, walls cracked, and the person filming struggled to maintain their balance. Just hours after the earthquake, around 5 p.m. that same afternoon, residents in multiple areas of Yunnan witnessed something shocking. The sun gradually turned blood red. The entire sky took on an eerie hue, and this strange phenomenon lasted for about half an hour. Eyewitnesses described the sun as looking like the color of blood, something they had never seen before. By the evening of March 29th, the phrase "blood red sun appears over Yunnan" shot to the top of trending topics online. Some people were convinced that the red sun was connected to the recent earthquake. Others found it unsettling, even frightening. Comments poured in. "It feels like a sign, maybe a warning of another earthquake. Oh my god, this is terrifying. Looking at it makes me feel anxious." As expected, the Chinese government's meteorological experts quickly came out to debunk the claims. Their explanation was the usual: light refraction, atmospheric scattering, and dust pollution. However, some internet users weren't convinced. One pointed out, "A red sun due to atmospheric refraction isn't impossible, but it usually happens in lower latitudes near the equator, places like Bangkok, Thailand, where you might see a reddish sun around 6 or 7 p.m. But Yunnan has a higher altitude, where the sun sets much faster. In similar weather conditions, when Thailand sees a red sunset, Yunnan would already be in complete darkness by 7 or 8 p.m. It shouldn't be visible. This time, the blood red sun in Yunnan appeared before 6 p.m. Normally, at that time, the sun here should still be dazzlingly bright, unless it was covered by thick clouds. Air pollution or forest fires could also cause the sun to appear red, but not to this extreme. Plus, in those cases, the sky usually looks murky as well. The contrast between the sun and the sky wouldn't be as dramatic as what happened in Yunnan. There were no reports of smog or forest fires in Yunnan or nearby areas, making this event highly unusual. Some netizens commented, "Anything they can't explain is just called a natural phenomenon. Anything that doesn't fit their version of science is labeled unscientific. And when they don't understand something, they just cover it up. That's the real job of CCP experts." Indeed, after the strong earthquake in Myanmar, more regions in China began experiencing earthquakes. On the evening of March 28th, two 3.0 magnitude earthquakes occurred in Zhengkan County, Yunnan. In a video, a panicked netizen can be heard shouting, "There was an earthquake in Linqiang today. We live on the 12th floor, and we can't even use the elevator." At 6:50 p.m. on March 29th, a 4.4 magnitude earthquake struck Huizhe County in Yunnan. The epicenter was at a depth of 10 kilometers, with noticeable tremors felt in nearby Liudian and Jiaojia counties. At 2:13 a.m. on April 1st, a 3.2 magnitude earthquake occurred in Mangshi, Dehong Prefecture, Yunnan, at a depth of 10 kilometers. On the streets, people are seen running in panic, and a blogger captured the chaotic scene on their phone. In Gaozhou, Maoming, another netizen captured a strange sight on the highway, a massive flock of birds flying in a large tubular formation. The netizen questioned, "Why have earthquakes been occurring all over the world in just a few days? What happened today?" In recent years, various unusual phenomena have been reported across China. On March 27th, around noon, an unusual sight appeared in the sky over Jiaxing, Zhejiang. A massive black cloud, stretching for dozens of meters, suddenly formed and lay across the sky like a giant serpent. This phenomenon lasted about 20 minutes before it disappeared with heavy rain. One commenter noted, "This type of cloud is called a dragon snake cloud. When it appears, it's considered a bad omen." A blogger from Jilin pointed out the historical records document similar events. A black dragon cloud with horns appearing over Zhou, frightening local officials so much that they held an emergency ritual to pray to the heavens. The Jiaxing Gazetteer also recorded that during Emperor Kangshi's reign in the Qing dynasty, a white flood dragon cloud lingered in the sky for 3 days, and soon after, a devastating flood followed. On March 23rd, bamboo in Wangjianglo Park has started flowering. This is significant because traditionally, bamboo flowering has been considered an ominous sign. Wangjianglo Park, known as China's top bamboo garden, is home to 500 species of bamboo. Recently, clusters of bamboo across the park have started blooming. Specifically, 18 clumps of one variety, 1 clump of another, and 3 clumps of a third. These flowering bamboo plants have been spotted in several areas of the park. Reports of bamboo flowering have also emerged from Hunan, Hubei, and Jiangsu, sparking widespread discussion. In Chinese folklore, there's a saying, "When bamboo flowers, it's time to move." This reflects the traditional belief that it's an omen of an impending disaster, prompting people to prepare in advance to minimize its impact. Adding to the unusual events, Beijing, Hebei, and surrounding regions have witnessed a series of rare celestial phenomena since late last year, including halos, multiple suns, and blood-red skies. On December 10, 2024, a solar halo and 3 suns appeared in the sky over Beijing. 2 mini-suns flanked the main sun. On January 1, 2025, a massive solar halo was visible over Beijing. On January 26, 2025, 4 suns appeared in the Beijing sky.
And that kind of looks what some of the folks we've talked to down there in San Diego County said they experienced.
We come on the air right now with breaking news out of Southern California, where a 5.2 magnitude earthquake just struck right near the town of Julian. It's about an hour east of San Diego. United States Geological Survey is also reporting several small aftershocks there.
San Diego police say the shaking was, quote, very strong, but no damage has been reported.
Again, there's a swarm of smaller earthquakes that appear to have happened also. If you can come out to my screen, you can see that the blue dot in the center, that's the 5.2 that was reported. And then there's the series of smaller ones, all about 2.5, 2.9 in the area. If I zoom out a little bit, you can see there's another one that was just reported here.
But looking how it compares with locations, it's most likely associated with the Elsinore Fault. That's one of our major faults of Southern California, part of the San Andreas system.
It began thousands of miles away, in a region not known for volcanoes or earthquakes. But the ground beneath Hudson Bay is moving, and fast. Canadian and American geologists are sounding the alarm as a series of deep geological shifts in northern Canada could have cascading effects all the way down to the Yellowstone caldera. The terrifying question being whispered in labs and war rooms across North America: could these shifts trigger one of the most powerful volcanoes on Earth? The Hudson Bay Anomaly, what scientists just discovered. Earlier this year, a network of GPS sensors and gravity meters around Hudson Bay recorded unusual crustal movement, not the kind that causes local quakes, but the kind that hints at deeper tectonic realignment. This movement appears to be a reaction to post-glacial rebound, the Earth's slow upward stretch after millennia of ice weight. But recent shifts are faster and more focused than previously thought. A shocking report released in March 2025 confirmed that pressure waves from these shifts are propagating far beyond what was considered possible. Scientists now suspect that these ancient tectonic forces are reawakening faults thought to be dormant, stretching all the way to the heart of the continental plate. What makes the Hudson Bay anomaly particularly alarming is the vertical and lateral acceleration of land rebound in concentrated zones, sometimes exceeding 11 millimeters per year, far beyond the historical average. Seismic tomography conducted in late 2024 revealed that the upper mantle beneath Hudson Bay is behaving in ways not observed since early post-glacial epochs, suggesting that new zones of ductile flow may be opening beneath the crust. Geophysicists are also analyzing a curious correlation. As the crust rebounds, it's not only shifting upward, it's subtly tilting. This tilting may be redistributing deep stress fields, altering the tension along fault systems embedded in the Canadian Shield. And while these faults are ancient, they are not extinct. Satellite gravity mapping has shown that mass distribution beneath Hudson Bay has changed shape over the past 6 months, a clue that deeper forces are reorganizing. The Yellowstone Connection, linked through the Craton. The North American Craton is a giant stable block of Earth's crust that stretches from the Arctic to the U.S. Rockies. Hudson Bay and Yellowstone sit on opposite edges of this ancient platform. Seismic waves and tectonic stress changes in one region can, under rare circumstances, transmit through the Craton and influence stress fields thousands of miles away. What sets the Craton apart from younger, more fragmented crustal regions is its rigidity. That rigidity allows vibrations and pressure changes to travel farther and faster, much like sound through a solid wall. While the Craton's immense strength has kept it largely immobile for over 1 billion years, it is not immune to disturbance, especially from broad, deep tectonic forces like those now emerging near Hudson Bay. A recent modeling study conducted by the U.S. Geological Survey and Canadian Geological Commission revealed something startling. When the Hudson Bay crustal rebound data was input into advanced geodynamic simulation software, the resulting stress maps showed direct propagation routes toward the Rocky Mountain front, and more alarmingly, toward the Yellowstone hotspot. This doesn't mean an eruption is imminent, but it does suggest that strain is being transferred into fault systems in and around Yellowstone. Researchers observed microfracturing along stress corridors in the crustal models and theoretical stress arcs that overlap with known volcanic plumbing systems beneath Yellowstone's caldera. Further complicating the picture, a cluster of low-frequency tremors was detected in late March 2025, consistent with fluid or gas movement deep underground. These tremors lined up precisely with stress vectors extending south from the Hudson Bay anomaly. Signals from the supervolcano. Is Yellowstone responding? In the last 6 weeks, scientists at the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory have noted unusual patterns: a slight uptick in earthquake swarms, unusual gas ratios from fumaroles, and new high-temperature anomalies near Norris Geyser Basin. None of these are individually alarming, but taken together, and in the context of the Hudson Bay shifts, they become deeply concerning. One seismologist described it as watching ripples in a spiderweb, subtle, silent, but undeniably spreading. One of the key concerns is the type of seismicity being detected. Low-frequency earthquakes, often associated with fluid movement rather than brittle rock fracturing, have shown up in clusters beneath the caldera. These are different from the shallow quakes caused by tectonic movement. Instead, they point to dynamic processes in the magmatic system, such as pressurized gas pockets, migrating, or changes in magma viscosity. Adding to the mystery is the changing chemical signature of gases emitted from fumaroles and geysers. Scientists noted elevated helium-3 levels, a gas that originates from deep within Earth's mantle. When helium-3 begins rising in surface emissions, it often indicates fresh magma rising or interacting with groundwater systems near the surface. Thermal satellite imagery has also revealed expanding heat zones, particularly around Norris Geyser Basin and Mud Volcano. These hotspots have intensified since February 2025, suggesting either increased geothermal activity or a shallow intrusion of heat. Meanwhile, tilt meters placed near the western rim of the caldera have recorded micro-deformation events, tiny changes in land elevation that suggest underground pressure buildup. These are the types of signs scientists have observed weeks or months before smaller eruptions in other volcanic systems. Although none of these findings independently suggest an imminent eruption, their combination, especially following the Hudson Bay crustal shifts, has volcanologists on high alert. Yellowstone is stirring, and the timing is too coincidental to ignore. Government response, panic, briefings, and blackouts. Behind closed doors, officials are not calm. Sources inside both U.S. and Canadian emergency agencies confirm that top-level briefings have already taken place. FEMA, the Department of the Interior, and the Canadian Geological Service are coordinating underground communication drills. Publicly, the agencies maintain that everything is within normal parameters. Privately, however, an entirely different picture is unfolding. Insider reports suggest that specialized response teams have been activated in both Washington, D.C. and Ottawa, and that intelligence briefings are being circulated on a daily basis to high-ranking defense and civil preparedness officials. One source familiar with the documents noted that some briefing materials are labeled restricted interagency cascade contingency, a term believed to refer to a synchronized response to multiple geological events across North America. In addition, stockpiles of emergency equipment, including mobile water filtration units, N95 respirators, ash blankets, and backup satellite communications gear, are being quietly moved to regional depots near Yellowstone and central Canada. New FEMA contracts for volcanic ash cleanup equipment have been awarded in early April 2025, despite no public explanation for the procurement. Cyber readiness teams have also been activated. The Department of Homeland Security has partnered with NORAD and Natural Resources Canada to simulate blackout scenarios caused by volcanic ash interfering with high-voltage power grids and atmospheric electromagnetic pulses. These simulations are being tested under the code name Operation Basalt Veil. Are we entering a new phase of continental instability? It's not just Hudson Bay. Across the globe, scientists are recording increased volcanic activity, more frequent earthquakes, and unpredictable shifts in tectonic plates. Could Earth be entering a new geodynamic phase? Some geologists propose that we're seeing the beginning of a cyclical pulse, where stress built up over millennia begins releasing across multiple systems simultaneously. Yellowstone could be just one node in a much larger chain reaction. Recent data from tectonically active zones, including the Pacific Ring of Fire, East African Rift, and Icelandic Plume, show heightened seismic and magmatic activity, often in regions that had remained stable for decades. This global uptick is leading researchers to question whether we are entering a period of synchronized geodynamic release, potentially triggered by deep mantle convection shifts or changes in Earth's rotational balance. Adding to the mystery, satellite geodesy measurements have shown increasing crustal strain across continental interiors, not just at plate boundaries. Areas such as the Tibetan Plateau, Central Asia, and even the American Midwest have shown signs of measurable tectonic creep. These findings challenge the long-held assumption that major tectonic adjustments only happen at fault zones or plate interfaces. This is not just theory anymore. Time, science and technology may be catching up with nature's secrets. The revelations from Hudson Bay aren't isolated data points. They are puzzle pieces in a much larger picture. We are witnessing something extraordinary, the Earth's deep architecture stirring and responding across vast distances. What makes this moment so critical is the convergence of disciplines. Seismologists, geologists, atmospheric scientists, indigenous knowledge keepers, and satellite engineers are all watching the same signals from different angles and arriving at similar conclusions. Something is shifting. This is the first time in modern history that we've seen such a tight clustering of long, quiet systems grow active in near unison. The question now isn't just whether Hudson Bay is awakening, but whether it is part of a domino effect. Yellowstone, the Pacific Northwest, the Canadian Shield, they are all pieces of Earth's tectonic orchestra, and the music may just be beginning.